very welcome along to Season 5, Episode 9 of the Champ.ie podcast. Ireland's premier horse racing podcast in association with Boylesports, Gowran Park Racecourse and Syndicates Racing. Coming up on this week's show, Barry speaks to special guest Harry Fry about star mare Love Envoi, and the lads look ahead to 5 key races at Sandown, Aintree and Navan, as well as giving their best bets and nap selections for this weekend.
Love Envoi coming towards the final flight, comes in to take it and jumps it beautifully from Martello Sky and Ballycallum Plague. Well, this is a really classy mare here. Love Envoi looks to have improved since last season when she won at the Cheltenham Festival.
If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Champ.ie YouTube channel, as it helps to get horse racing content out there to the wider audience. We look forward to reading all your weekend #5cast selections in the comments below. Sit back, relax and enjoy the show.
Boylesports. Don't just bet, choose wisely.
So, hello and welcome back to the Champ.ie podcast, episode number 9 of the new season. Tingle Creek weekend, Ronan Groome. It's big weekend after big weekend after big weekend. We're off to Navan and Aintree as well. Of course, the Boylesports Becher chase to look forward to on Saturday as well. We've 5 cast races to look forward to. We have, of course, Harry Fry as well coming up on the show as well, speaking about Love Envoi and some of his stable stars ahead of the new season. And the show, of course, proudly in association with our sponsors, Gowran Park Racecourse, Syndicates Racing, and our betting partner, Boylesports. Ronan Groome, great to see you. Big weekend ahead. And we've 5 cast races to get stuck into first.
Very much so, yeah. A nice, tricky task for the 5 cast this week to set it up for everyone. Good competitive racing, handicaps there, plenty. 3 different tracks as well, so it's a nice little puzzle for people to take on. And as you said yourself, Basil, 3 grade 1s. It's usually only Tingle Creek and the Henry VIII, but now we have obviously the FightingFifth. Good to see that saved, and Constitution Hill, and obviously Fabiolo's out on Sunday, so the becherchase market could get a little rattle this weekend. It's the odds say both of them will go and win handy enough, and that might be the case, but it doesn't always work out like that. So it could be interesting come Monday afternoon when we're chatting about looking back at the weekend. So very much looking forward to the weekend. Yeah, and obviously we've been huge fans of Love Envoi down the years, so looking forward to seeing what Harry Fry says about her. And seeing her again against Constitution Hill.
Absolutely. I was flirting with her already once again, Ronan Groome, putting her into the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. Because if you haven't seen Monday's episode, we're 4 weeks in, go across our Monday shows, of course, AntePost selections every week, right up until the Cheltenham Festival. But I suppose the feature, you mentioned the Tingle Creek. Let's touch on the grade 1s, because I suppose the big question was, starting with the FightingFifth, was, would Constitution Hill run? He does run. There's plenty of pace in the race. We have, obviously, You Wore It Well was brilliant last year in the mares novices hurdle, of course. And we have, obviously, Love Envoi as well. She can be quite versatile in terms of tactics. She's a very straightforward mare. And I think both of those are big, big players in terms of that mares hurdle stepping up and trip at the back end of the season. Constitution Hill, it's probably straightforward. It could be a Nicky Henderson day at Sandown on Saturday. It was a Gordon Elliott show, of course, up at Fairyhouse. I think Nicky, every possibility could go through the card.
Yeah, be fair going. I'm sure lots of people will do the double, Constitution Hill and Jonbon later on. I'm sure that would be a popular one in the betting shops tomorrow or Saturday morning. Yeah, look, what you say, he like this, he's coming back to the scene of where he first made his name, Constitution Hill. So I thought it was quite an obvious call to run him. No, Nicky's known for being a bit careful, and who knows if he thinks he has a hard race here, will he run at Kempton at Christmas? But at least we get to see him now. And I do think the race is intriguing as well, as you say, to see the 2 mares there. If you're interested in them for the mares hurdle, it'll be interesting to see what You Wear It Well can do here on soft ground. I think she'd be better open trip. I don't think she's as versatile maybe as Love Envoi. Obviously, albeit she did win a mare's novice like Love Envoi did, but I think she was winning that through staying power late on more than anything else. I think she could be interesting up at 2.5 miles, whereas Love Envoi, I think, is as good at 2 miles as she is at 2.5. And she's obviously good mare around Sandown as well, the course and distance winner a couple of times. and usually good on her debut, on her seasonal debut as well. So I'd say she'll follow him home, and and needless to say, I can't see anything other than an impressive win here for the Hill.
I cannot wait to see Willmount, of course, running in the first race. Could follow the Constitution Hill route to the Supreme Novices Hurdle. Obviously, he won this race, beating Might Eye a couple of seasons ago en route to...
I'd say you're excited when you saw him declared.
Absolutely. There's only 4 runners in the race, but I think going down the Supreme route, that's, I think, what the owner, Ollie Harris, has said in his pre-race interview. So, yeah, it could be a Nicky Henderson day. Now, we're going to move on, I suppose, and delve straight into the 5-cast race. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, make sure to do so. These are the races that we're going to be looking at this week. Put in your 5-cast selections down below, as always, for the chance to be able to winning that VIP, Champ.ie VIP prize, which, of course, the draw is going to be on the 28th of December. And get your selections in this week. We're going to announce the prize next week. Eddie Scally is going to be on the show, and it's a very exciting prize at Ronan Groome. So I think anyone that wants to get a head start, get your 5-cast selections down below for this week, and you must have 2 winners or more to qualify for that draw on the 28th. So, give the old video a like and subscribe to the channel. Always helps us out. First race, Ronan Groome, that we're going to look at is the Henry, I don't even know, is it the 8th Novices Chase, Grade 1, 150 on Saturday at Sandown. And I think this is an absolute cracker. It's a race I love every single season. And I think the one thing we have to say about how this race could be run is it could be an absolute burn-up. There's plenty of early pacers in here, and it could suit potentially a hold-up horse. That was where I was looking at it.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I wonder, does that bring in unexpected party? I think maybe coming back to 2 miles, strongly run 2 miles, soft ground, that could be interesting for him. But he was walloped in this race last year. Granted, I don't think there's a Jonbon in there. I'd be keen enough to take on the favourite after his little mishap the last day. With a couple of these, I think ICO, that run the last day was too bad to be true, I think, for him. And he gets a big weight swing with JPR1 now. And his best form over hurdles was at Sandown as well. So I think he's quite interesting for Paul Nicholls. But I can't help but going to have a little swing here at Petit Tonnerre for the O'Neills. If you go back to the JPR1 race, he was going to beat him, fair. Absolutely, he was going to beat him all ends up if he stayed up. But I think this Petit Tonnerre was getting a very gentle ride. And next thing, all of a sudden, he was in with a winning chance when JPR1 went at the last and got a bit more adamant in the saddle then. But it was a seasonal debut, and he was quite a good hurdler last season. He finished 6th in the county hurdle. It was a really good run. And it was his first run over fences in quite a good race. So I expect him to come on for that run and be given a bit more of a forceful ride this time. And as you said yourself, Basil, there's plenty of pace on here. He could sit in behind, pop away, and at 12-1 double figures. While it is a good race and a lot of these are promising, I don't think it's an absolutely smasher. So I was actually going to take a chance on him, Petit Tonnerre for the O'Neills.
Yeah, and I was interested in the stable tours. Get one of the Mark Howard book every single year. Just the shout out to Mark, does a great job, and obviously goes around to the different stables. And it was interesting just the comments of John O'Neill about this horse, Petit Tonnerre, who's going to be my selection in the race as well, by the way, Ronan, at double figures, 10-1. Yeah, no, I have to say, look, there's a couple of interesting runners in here, but I think the race could be run to suit him. Petit Tonnerre, he's obviously a likely race 5-year-old. John Joe was quite excited to see this horse stay at 2 miles over fences, and I thought he jumped quite well in that Arkle trial at Cheltenham. Obviously, the weather conditions today on the chase track, I do believe that it's going to be really testing conditions. We're due rain it's going to be through the mooring period on Saturday, so I think you might even see heavy ground it might even be heavy ground on Saturday. So this horse is very decent form on softer ground in France. And I thought if you look back at the most recent form of hurdles from each of these, he achieved a fairly decent rating and ran an absolute cracker, ridden to place and ridden quite conservatively in the county hurdle at Cheltenham. But that was a cracking run. He stayed on, was an eye catcher, finished 7th in that race. And of all the recent hurdles form coming into this particular, into a chasing campaign this season, I thought that was the pick of the most recent form. So Petit Tonnerre, he's a decent prospect, and I think the race could be run to suit. He's double figures. And, John Joe, 24% strike rate at the moment. I give him a really lively chance of getting involved in this. And on this type of ground, I think he's a big player. You mentioned Unexpected Party. He's been there. I'm not going to say he's been there, done that, but he's been around a while. You'd be a little bit disappointed if he was to go and win a race like this, would you?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, I just thought he was interested in coming back in trip. He has lots of solid form over 2.5, beat Nappers Hill, and he ran quite well in the last day in behind Stage Star. That was a decent enough effort as well, So I thought he was, and he has a decent rating as well. But yeah, I'd be the same as you. I think there's enough potential in there that you'd be disappointed if he came back and won. Colonel Harry is interested as well. I thought he did it nicely first time at Chepstow. For Johnny
jumped
Burke.
Quite well, Ronan.
Jumped well. For John and Jamie Snowden, obviously the informed trainer after last week. He was useful enough for hurdles without doing anything mad, and maybe they were keeping him back for a chasing campaign. So it'll be D-Day for him today. But it's a good race, and as I said, interesting. You like Petit Tonnerre as well, so.
Yeah, get your selections down below. Leg 1 of the 5K, the 150. That's Henry VIII's novice chase, grade 1 at Saturday at Sandown, should I say, on Saturday. And just finally, you mentioned Colonel Harry. He'd be the danger for me in here. I thought last season, obviously, he was very free going sort. He looked a little bit more grown up, I thought, anyway, on his chasing debut. Jumped quite well. Did shift a little bit to the right on that occasion as well, which would suggest maybe at Sandown, of course, that he's 100% record. He's 100% record at Sandown, and he's won twice on heavy ground as well. So if it turns up soft, it's not going to be an issue. I just think there's plenty of pace on. I think long term in this race, he's the one I'm most excited about, Colonel Harry. Jamie Snowden did mention in the aftermath of that Chepstow race, Ronan, that Colonel Harry, what he believed, this is before That's All Right Gino went on and won a Hennessy, and that this Colonel Harry he'd be disappointed if he didn't turn out to be a better horse than That's All Right Gino. So I thought that was a very interesting comment. I just think in a race like this, Petit Tonnerre could be the one to side with at double figure odds. 225 at Sandown, 2 mile handicap hurdle, class 2 event, obviously shown on ITV, 225 on Saturday, over the 2 miles. Anything else fancy in this, Roland?
Well, I wasn't surprised at all to see the Nicky horse, and as you say, continuing the team of Nicky's day, this AntePost Trois. I think that race he won at Cheltenham was quite good and could throw up quite a few winners, and he won quite well. Like, he was smart enough, so I'm not surprised to see 5-2. He's obviously up to 131 now, but I'd say if you are a fan of the favourite, you must have some sort of concern. And you look at the next 3 at the betting, all French-bred 4-year-olds who, have reasonable claims on their runs and look very progressive. Look like there could be there's a bullet there somewhere that could just come and get you. Just could be a very well handicapped sort off their marks. One's in there for Skelton, another one Gary Moore, and one on the second start for Venetia Williams as well. That Buxy Desesper. All that said, I'm quite allergic to backing 4-year-olds in open company, Basil, as I've said down the years. So I'm going to take a chance on Lucy Wadham's horse with the great Sean Bowen on here, Arcube. Like, everything about him says that he like his flat form, he's quite a smart little horse on the flat, but it's all on good ground. And you think that soft ground would be against him, but he has won a couple of times on soft ground, including at this course. I was slightly concerned that he jumped a bit to his left when he won here the last day, but he still won really well. And a strongly run race, I know he's up £5 for that, but a strongly run race I think would suit him well, and I can see this being strongly won. There's enough runners there. I didn't get a chance to look at the possible pace angles, but I'm sure there'll be a decent clip on here. £5 extra. He's only a 5-year-old. He's progressive as well. I just thought he was interesting. I'll take a chance on him. He's getting up to the 8-1 mark. I think that's a good option for you each way, just with the course and distance form and proven form on soft ground as well. So I'll go with Arcube.
Yeah, you mentioned the Gary Moore horse, and I've got to give this 4-year-old a chance. Spirit Danu, who very likely raced individual, and you mentioned the 4-year-old angle. Well, 2 of the last 8 winners were 4-year-olds in this race, and this horse is a course and distance winner that has actually won on heavy ground at Sandown. So I think that's a big plus in the way of Spirit Danu. If the rain comes like expected on Saturday morning, you're going to have testing conditions. It's not going to be an issue. He's 4 from 6 He's unexposed, had form in France. And I thought that was the pick of his runs, actually. He won twice last year. The first of those wins did come at Sandown, as mentioned, over the course and distance. But I thought that was probably, RPRs don't suggest so, but I thought it was his best performance last year. That's Spirit de Nous. And, you know, off 120 now, he went up plenty last year. His first win at Sandown was off 115. He's progressed plenty. Got up the guts of nearly 15 pounds. But Niall Houlihan is taking 3 pounds off on this occasion. And obviously we've seen he's absolutely riding out of his skin as well, the County Waterford man. So Spirit de Nous for me. That's the selection number 2 in the 5 cast. So get it down below. The London National, Ronan. This is an absolute cracker. And I'm going to be surprised if you don't side with Beauport here, given the fact that you put him up on the challenge last year to win the Brown Advisory.
No, I've given he's one I've not jumped off the cliff with him. I've given up on him a bit. I think he flatters to deceive. For all that his run at Ascot was quite good first time out, but he went off joint favourite there, I think, or close to it. And you know, he ran okay, but you know, he was beaten 10 lengths in the end. And I just don't know. Yeah, I've slightly just
poor race though, is it?
It is a poor race, but I just don't feel good about taking something like whatever price he is. What's he like, 3-1, something like that in such a long race? And as you say, it could be an absolute slugfest by this stage if the ground is going to get heavy. And this is 3.5 miles. And this isn't a very confident selection, but I take a chance on the old boy here, the Cyclop. I think like proven stayer, like soft ground, like he's close to a career high mark, but his run the last day behind Good Boy Bobby, that's like as good a form as anything that's coming into the race from recent memory anyway, or the recent form that's been brought into the race. I think that's as good as anything. As I said, he's won on soft ground. He's won nationals before. I think he won the Highland National, albeit, you know, small nationals, I suppose. I think he won one of the other nationals as well. Not a big thing, but he's proven that he can stay. He's in good form, like soft ground. I just thought he'd be interesting, and I thought the market might just underrate him a little because he's a 12-year-old running in those veteran chases. But that form often stacks up well. Fontaine Clonge was the other one I was interested in. First time off a wind up for Venetia here. I backed him last year when he won at Lingfield. He won really well, and I thought he was a progressive enough chaser. He's still potentially well handicapped off 133. But on his first run, I just thought 3.5 miles soft ground. Will he just get found out fitness wise? But and I just thought he was a little bit short on that. So a tentative selection for me, Basil, on the Cyclop.
Yes, now it's time to hear from our special guest on the Champ.ie podcast, Harry Fry. Of course, it does have Love Envoi in the Fighting 50 this weekend. She makes her season reappearance, and we're going to hear from Harry about Boothill, along with so many other of his stars this season. We'll hear from Harry after this.
Gowran Park Racecourse, the premier racetrack in the southeast of Ireland, is located on the outskirts of Kilkenny City. Gowran is your number one choice for corporate days out, stag and hen party events, and an overall great local racing experience. Known as the race that stops the county, the famous Goffs Thyestes Chase 2024 takes place on Thursday the 25th of January.
In the finish of the Goffs Thyestes, invitation only, and Ruby Walsh on the near side for Willie Mullen's 7th win of the race. Invitation only has beaten Alpha's Opus.
With packed crowds expected once again this January, you can book your early bird tickets online today. Visit GowranPark.ie online, click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description, or scan the QR code on screen to purchase right now. Eddie and the team look forward to welcoming you all to Gowran Park Racecourse this winter.
Justified favouritism, but sharp object out in front will win for John McConnell and Alex Harvey.
Western victory, Silver Lord, never be the finishing order.
It's a nervous time. We're just about to press go on our Class of 2024 email. What does that mean? Well, we are bundling every one of our yearlings we bought together this year into one package to start with for you to get involved. Look, we've kind of stretched ourselves this year, I'm not going to lie. We've really pushed the boat out. We want to be number one, and to get to number one, you kind of need to buy the quality that we've accessed, I think, this year. that quality is exemplified hopefully by a Star Spangled Banner filly going to Joseph O'Brien, a classy Ravens Pass filly hopefully targeting the Goffs Million. We have a gorgeous far above colt going to Tim Dunworth. I think he's a bullet, and he'll be going for 50 grand maidens at Champ.ie, all going well. We have a far above going to Alice Haynes, one of the best trainers of 2-year-olds in the UK. We also didn't forget where our roots, and that's a bit of bargain placement buys like our Study of Man filly. She goes to Ollie Sangster, one of the most progressive trainers in the UK. It's important for us not only to support the Irish trainers, but our UK-based owners, and Ollie is a trainer we're really excited about. We didn't finish there though. We also bought an absolutely gorgeous Harry Angel. And Harry Angel, we think sire is very underestimated. And this wasn't just a nice looking Harry Angel. She's a Harry Angel who's a half sister to a Coventry Stakes winner. It's an amazing team. Look, I kind of really went for it this year because I just thought there's an excitement with our owners. There's an excitement about what we're doing. And I really do think we're about to tow a supersonic with some of our syndicate members backing. And if we can do that, I really, really appreciate it if you would get stuck in.
GSI.
Behind our vision for 2024 with this team. I don't think we've had a better team. I really don't think so. And I'm really excited to have you part of it. This is it. Our 2024 team is about to go live.
Yeah, so delighted to be joined on the Champ.ie podcast by trainer Harry Fry. Big weekend, of course, ahead for Harry. And 40% strike rate in the last 2 weeks, Harry. Horses are absolutely flying it.
Yeah, they've been in good form when we've been able to run them, when the weather hasn't interfered. So, as you say, looking forward to hopefully a big weekend.
Love Envoi, she's a 7-year-old Westerner, unbeaten at Sandown, three from three at the course itself. And I suppose she probably didn't mind that the FightingFifth was moved down south.
Yeah, from our point of view, it's actually worked out quite well. Moving to Newcastle, from Newcastle to Sandown, but because as you say, I mean, she's 3 from 3 at the track and 1 on this card on her seasonal reappearance this time last year as well. So we know it suits. More emphasis on stamina over the 2 miles of the FightingFifth is definitely a positive for us. So was quite pleased to hear that when it had been rescheduled, it was headed for Sandown.
And I suppose you mentioned her record fresh as well. She's won fresh for the last 2 seasons. How ready is she for Saturday?
Oh yeah, she's definitely ready to get started. But as with all the horses at this stage of the season, that they're always going to improve from their first run. So, but it's a grade 1, so she's definitely ready to go. So, we're looking forward to seeing how she gets on. Obviously, taking on the undisputed National Hunt superstar at the moment in Constitution Hill. So, he obviously sets a very high standard, but we're there to take our chance.
And I suppose at Cheltenham, just getting back to last year and her performance at the Cheltenham Festival, I mean, a lot of eyes anyway. The wider public was on Honeysuckle and how she got on. But I suppose in terms of Love Envoi, what a performance it was from her on the day.
Yeah, we were well, not sure quite what the best way to describe the feeling, having run such a gallant race in defeat and finishing second to Honeysuckle. Clearly, on one hand, we were delighted with the performance, and then but to go so close as well, up against a brilliant race mare in Honeysuckle was gutting at the same time. It's all about winning these races. But it was, look, we were delighted with the performance. And if she can sort of put up that sort of display over the course of this season, we hopefully got lots more to look forward to with her.
You'd like to hope there's maybe not a Honeysuckle in the lineup this time around.
Well, you'd hope so. I mean, her whole Love Envoi's whole campaign is being geared around trying to go one better in that mare's hurdle in March. So, yeah, at least we can for sure rule out Honeysuckle. Now she's in the breeding shed. So, but look, there'll be others, obviously, that will come along, and so. But all we can do is concentrate on her and getting her there in the best sort of possible form. So, she's been a brilliant mare for us, and we've finished runner-up in a couple of grade 1s so far with her. So hopefully her turn in the top level will come sooner rather than later.
Do you think she's improved since last spring?
I don't know. I mean, she's well in herself at home. I think she's. We'll find out on Saturday, obviously, exactly where we are against the likes of Constitution Hill. So, yeah, I mean, you'd like to hope that there's more improvement, but we'll have to see. She's 7 rising 8, but as I said, we're happy with that home. So we'll see how she gets on.
Absolutely. Best of luck with her. She's an absolute star. And Boothill, of course, entered up in the Tingle Creek this weekend. 5 wins from 9 over fences, and he's unbeaten this season so far. Do you think he's improved?
Oh yeah, I think for sure he's come out and improved again, winning back-to-back valuable handicaps at Ascot, albeit we're probably a little bit fortunate the last day. Whichever way you look at it, though, he was running a big race under a big weight off a career high mark. So this is going to be another step up. Clearly into Grade 1 company, and I mean he's got form with the favourite Jonbon from last year's Henry VIII, where we finished 8 lengths behind him in that race. So yeah, there's still a gap to be bridged, but I think he deserves to take his chance, certainly in the form he's been so far this season.
And I wanted to ask you with ground with him, because he seems pretty versatile. He's obviously by presenting, but I think 3 of his 5 wins over fences have been on good ground, but 2 have been on soft. Is that a concern, maybe the ground being testing or not?
I think, we'll be sort of monitoring it closely. Obviously, for Love Envoi, is more testing ground is no concern for her. But certainly for him, I wouldn't want to see the chase course sort of go heavy. By presenting, we've always felt his sort of best surface is a slightly so good to soft is ideal for him. So we'll be hoping that the chase track doesn't get too testing.
Fingers crossed. In Excelsis, Joe, if I've pronounced that correctly, 5-year-old by Sadix, obviously has entries in the December Gold Cup. A very lightly raced chaser for JP McManus and Harry Fry team.
Yeah, he was joined us about 12 months ago, and having made a winning start to his career for us around Hereford, he didn't really progress the second half of last season, but he came out and ran a nice race when staying on 3rd at Cheltenham in October. So we've got him in, as you say, next weekend, which would be a step up in trip. So we'll have to see whether we go for that or stick to 2 miles as a 2 mile handicap on the same card. So, but yeah, you like to think. There's hopefully more to come from him this season as a second season chaser.
I was going to say, like in handicaps off a mark of 132, would you be confident there's more to come from him?
Well, I think, based on his last run, you like to think with a better round of jumping, he just made a mistake down the back that just cost him his position, and he stayed on well. So having sort of got out of his ground slightly. So I think, off his mark, he's shown he can be competitive. So how much more there is to come, I don't know, but he's worth running in these decent races, seeing what we've got up our sleeve.
Super. Gin Coco and Altebelli both entered an Ascot on the 23rd. That's obviously the Saturday before Christmas. Is that the plan for both? And Altebelli is a horse that you've always tend to say kind words about. Yeah,
well, he's he made a very pleasing debut when winning well at Exeter and a bumper, and he was again not overly lightly raced last year. He's a big tall horse that's taken time to just mature, and we were pleased with his reappearance, second at Ascot at the beginning of November. So, and the plan was always then to wait for this valuable race back there on the 23rd. So I think he's second season hurdler that we hope can be progressive still, and definitely worth running in a race like that. And obviously the course experience of the last day should hopefully benefit him. And whereas Gin Coco obviously is a little bit older, and he actually won over the course and distance just recently. But for him, he wouldn't want the ground too testing. So either way, we've got one to run in it, all being well. Out to belly, definitely prefer a slower surface, whereas Jinkoko would be looking for better ground. So we'll hopefully have one of them to contest whichever way it goes.
Might I, obviously, ran an absolute massive race in the Martin Pipe. He's had 2 starts over fences. One of them, obviously, the race cut up quite badly. But how confident are you with him that he can be a much better chaser than hurdler?
Well, I think, we're giving him every chance to make it into a chaser. He obviously, as you said, he's run some big races in defeat, and not least off top weight last year in the Martin Pipe. So, he was a bit novice on his first start over fences. The last day, we didn't get to learn an awful lot more, as you say, that the only other runner in the race sadly had to pull up. But I think, it's all about experience, and he's due to go to Ascot just before Christmas as well for a graded novice chase. So he's got to certainly be more fluent with his jumping to give himself a chance of progressing as a chaser. But we're doing plenty of groundwork with him at home, and hopefully, being a half brother to the Statler, he can make up into a good novice chaser during the course of the season.
Do you see him more as a stayer? You mentioned Statler. He obviously won the 4-miler.
Yeah, I think as he's relaxing more in his races, he'll give himself a chance to stay. I think 2.5 is ideal at the moment, but in due course, I could see him stepping up, possibly not to 4 miles, but certainly up to 3 without doubt.
Gidley Park is a horse I wanted to ask you, but a 5-year-old by walk in the park. He looked good at Exeter. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, he's a lovely big horse. We're pleased to see him make a winning debut over hurdles. And again, much like all the novices this year, this stage of the season, whether it's fences or hurdles, it's about getting experience into them. And so we're looking to get him out either just before or certainly over Christmas period, probably just in another novice under a penalty, with the hope that we can step up in grade and step up in trip in due course. But he's a fine big horse that we're hoping can continue to progress.
I was gonna ask you about that, because obviously you mentioned he's a big horse. Like, he was very impressive at Exeter. But in terms of the top novice hurdles, obviously you've had the likes of Neon Wolf in the past who met up into a lovely novice hurdler and went all the way to compete at the spring festivals. But in terms of Gidley Park, do you think he can go right to the top in novice hurdles, or would you have your eyes more on chasing down the line for the likes of him?
Yeah, I think he's very much more a chaser in the making, without a doubt. That's where his long-term future lies. But we'll see how he progresses over hurdles. We're not going to overface him, but if he warrants and justifies stepping up into sort of greater company as a novice hurdler, well, that'd be a great position to be in. But we'll sort of be dictated to by him and his performances, rather than sort of hoping he might be something over hurdles, when clearly his future is definitely going to be over fences.
In terms of his character, I suppose, or even the individual himself, what do you most like about him?
Well, I think clearly the ability side of things, he's shown a good level on that. And what's funny is that he doesn't even realise what he's done to at this point in his 2 runs, his bumper and the maiden hurdle success. So it's all just happened on sort of raw ability. So it's exciting to think that when he sort of really learns the job and what he's been asked to do, how far he could progress. But he's as I said, he's a lovely big rangy horse, and that's what this game's all about, trying to find horses that you don't know where the limit might lie. It's exciting.
Sure, yes. And another son of Walk in the Park, a 5-year-old I wanted to mention, Beat the Bat. Is he pleasing you?
Absolutely. He built on his reappearance and debut over hurdles and close runner-up at Chepstow to get the better of what I think probably turn out to be another lovely prospect of Paul Nicholls at Ascot just recently. So the two of them pulled a long way clear, and so we were delighted to see him get his head in front. And he's one that again we'll be looking to see out over the Christmas period, but really pleased to see him progress from his bumper season.
Sure. You've done very well with young mares in the past. Obviously, we've mentioned Love Envoi. We've Credra Java was very smart as well. Have you any nicer, younger fillies that maybe could follow in the likes of their footsteps?
Yeah, we had a filly by a Finnissy called AntePost make her debut at Exeter just recently. She was a runner-up, but she pulled a long way clear with the winner. And to be honest, probably it was the wrong sort of track for her on that day in the ground. She's shown us a lot of speed at home, and it just turned into a bit more of a stamina test up the Exeter straight. And having been she was the last one off the bridle, but she looks a lovely filly that hopefully can test the sort of graded black type bumpers in the spring before going hurdling next season. Super,
Harry. Wish you well with her. Finally, before we do finish up, I suppose, is there any other maybe nice younger horses or perhaps dark horses for Champ.ie listeners that you think are worth a mention or worth following, I suppose, for the National Hunt season ahead?
Yeah, well, I think we've covered quite a good few there of the horses. So I'm trying to think if there's who else we haven't covered. But no, I think he's well. Maybe there's one by Getaway called Giza Rockstar, who was a winning, made a winning start to his career in the Taunton bumper. He's been a little bit unlucky not to have got out so far this season over hurdles, just whether he's been balloted out or again the weather's interfered. But he's a nice gelding that can be probably more a slightly darker horse that is worth keeping on side for sure.
Yes, moving on to the Boylesports becherchase, and I do believe, Ronan, you like one in here.
Yes, I do. This would be one of my best bets of the day. The Big Breakaway. Now, I've been a fan of this horse for quite a while. I think I've always thought he had a big handicap chase in him. And I don't think, he's an 8-year-old, but he's only had 13 starts over fences. And he hasn't had many chances to run on soft ground on a marathon in a good race. And when he has, he's been quite good. I take as a case in point his first two runs of last season. He was second to Haydock, to the aforementioned Fontaine Collonge, who was progressing very well at the time. So he was doing well to give way to him. He was only beaten ahead, and then he found only the two Amigos too good in the Welsh National, which I'm sure is on the radar for him again. But I'm sure they'd love to take this race as well because he ran quite well. He's already had a pipe and over. He ran 5th in the Badger Beers there at Wincanton, ran okay. The ground was good to soft then. And I just think back to he's been given a chance here off 147. And with Cocoa Beach in the race, the Tri-Town winner, he's been given a massive old 162 by the British handicapper. He's getting in here off a relatively light weight. And he just made plenty of appeal to me. Just writing down his form with on soft ground is 1141222p. So it's pretty solid. And then those 2-2s, as I mentioned, were on good handicap chases. So I just thought 8-1 was a big price about him. He'll stay, jumps well, soft ground, off a mark 147. And plenty of these are quite exposed. Obviously, it's over the national fences. So that's a new test for him. But I can see him jumping around well, and as I said, the lightweight, he makes plenty of appeal. A few of them down at the bottom were interesting, like the Percussion and that, but they're all out of the handicap. There's 4 of them out of the handicap here with the 162 from Cocoa Beach. Percussion is actually in at second favourite, but has to run off £6 higher than he would usually, so that would put me off him. And Under Supervision caught my eye as well, and a couple of others, but I won't waffle on anymore, Basil. I'll let you take it away from there because I do like this, the Big Breakaway, and he's going to be my only selection.
The one I like in here, now it's right down the bottom of the weights, and obviously, Cocoa Beach running in this is obviously keeping the weights down for plenty of these. But Lounge Lizard, thought it was a very interesting jockey booking from Henry Daly. He's put Charlie Deutsch basically up on the horse. He's only 6 years of age, but the way he won a Taunton last year on really deep ground, and I just love the way this horse jumps, and I think it could be made for the Aintree fences. And he's won over 3 miles in the past, the extended 3 mile 2 on this type of ground. Being a 6-year-old, I'm not saying it's a worry, but I just think he's made for Aintree fences. The way he jumps, and I think he's certainly bred for stamina. And I thought Henry Daly's Lounge Lizard, he's double figure price. Charlie Deutsch, I think no better man to get him jumping and into a rhythm. And I just thought he was interesting. 12-1, he's coming for a bit of support from 14s. In a race like this, once again, it doesn't look the most strongest. And I'd rather be looking down towards the bottom of the weights than towards the front of the weights, given the fact that we're due plenty of rain as well up at Aintree. It's soft ground as it is. This is going to be an absolute slog. And I'm going to side with Lounge Lizard for Henry Daly and Charlie Deutsch. 2:17 on Saturday with Declarations. And Gordon Elliott's and, of course, Gavin Cromwell absolutely dominated the Navan Racing Festival. Have either of them the winner of this?
They might. I suppose the interesting ones there would be Maris Harper for Gordon and Jack on. He's in good form recently, won a couple of times. I suppose that when you're looking at the race, Basil, the most two, I guess the ones that stand out here are Any Second Now and Eclat de Rear. Like this time 2 years ago, Eclat de Rear was sent off 3-1, would you believe, for Coral Gold Cup, and it just hasn't gone well for him since. And off the track for a long time, but I'm sure plenty of people might want to make a case for him here off the mark of 148, and Any Second Now back down to 150 is interesting. It's quite a good record at Navan as well. I'm interested in the Philip Rothwell horse here, Union Park, and not very much sparked by the fact that he's gone ahead and booked the boy Connor Stone Walsh here, taking the £5 off, 100% record so far over fences. This fella is going to be quite good, and with his £5 claim, I'm sure he'll be popular this season. But this Union Park, he'd be a bit underrated now because he's run plenty of times. I think he must have 20-odd starts over fences. He's in great form, and exemplified by the fact that he just won over hurdles again recently at Cork. Prior to that, he'd been 5th in a good race, a good listed handicap chase as well, and coming back up, that was over around 2-1, coming back up to this 2.5 mile trip. I think he's interesting, and as I said, I think he might just be a bit underrated because he's a bit more exposed. He's in great form, he like the ground, jumps well, and a few of them just ahead of him that might be ahead of him in the market, I suppose, have a questions to ask. The ones I just mentioned there, they're coming back here, seasonal debut, coming off a break. In the case of Maris Harper, plenty of weight. So yeah, he would do for me, especially with Connor Stone Walsh booked. I think he's the most interesting horse in the race. A quick shout just as well before Basil, I throw back to you. The Flyer Begley here for Stuart Crawford is a big day for the Crawfords because they sent Dorking Cock over to, and now where when over to Aintree as well. Forgot to give them a quick mention of that race. They're interesting in their own right. But this Flyer Begley, I'm sure anyone to go and watch his race the last day, he really caught the eye over hurdles, and that was potentially a little pipe opener for this race. And the Crawfords have a decent enough record at Navan. Obviously Dorking Cock won there at the last meeting, pulled off a bit of an upset, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ran a decent race. Peter Carberry booked in the plate. He has a decent enough chase form. If you go back, he beat Heather Rocco up at Down Royal. It was either Down Royal or Down Patrick, but it's decent form now. And off a mark of 125, I thought he was quite interesting as well. But I'm going to go with Union Park for the main selection.
Yeah, so it's time we open up the floor for best bets this weekend. Ronan Groome, what are you going with this weekend in terms of bets? And we'll come to the nap very shortly.
Yeah, a quick mention. I've only two really to mention. Both at Navan. The 142 is a good race now. When they price this up, I'd be very interested in it. It's a 3 mile handicap hurdle, and I'm looking at Peter Fahey here and the JP horse Canal End. Mark Walsh booked. He ran 5th first time out in over 2 miles ago, but I'm sure that this 3 mile trip is going to bring out a bit of improvement in him. He ran quite well. He was only beaten 4 lengths or so by El Champo, another Philip Rockwell horse, I think, who's in good form, race fitness there on side. But that was on heavy ground at Galway. He was decent enough form in maiden hurdles the back end of last season, but he eventually got it done over 2.5 miles when he was up to that trip at Fairyhouse. And I'm sure he's quite unexposed, the mark of 124. And as I said, I'm pretty sure this 3 mile trip is maybe what connections are thinking. And off his mark of 124, he'd need to be winning something like this for them to be thinking then about maybe, bigger races in the spring, getting into those handicap hurdles. So definitely he'll be interesting. I think he could be quite, conservatively priced, we'll say, but we're interested to see what they price him up. And in the good race, the Grade 2 Navan Novice Hurdle, I'm sure lots of people will be looking forward to seeing Slade Steele here. He was slated to run in the Royal Bond last week, but they obviously went with Untubber there, Henry de Bromhead and Rob Core. So Slade Steele shows up here for the 2.5 mile, but I think most people thought that he was more of a 2.5 miler straight after his maiden hurdle when he seemed to ground it out quite well. So I'm sure the soft ground conditions will suit him here. There's a couple of nice horses here though. The Better Days Ahead is there. Lecky Watson, albeit it was a struggle for him to get off the mark over hurdles first time out, it was a little bit disappointing. I just thought Stellar Story would be the one here off the course and distance win the last day. Thought he showed really good attitude. And he's coming in here off the back of 3 wins and all. So I bump for him here. I think I've seen prices he's around kind of 2-1 mark. I think that's fair enough for him. And then just on Sunday, Basil, just a quick mention on the Cork card. There's a good Mayor's Chase there. I know you're partial to a Mayor's Chase this time of year. Obviously Zenta could make her debut here, and in the 4-year-old allowance obviously in Chases is quite interesting. That's been used by the likes of Gordon down the years with what was that horse I went for in the Arkle that 2 years ago, Basil?
Riviere de Tel.
Riviere de Tel, yeah. So Zenta could be interesting. She's obviously a Grade 1 winner at Aintree last season, and interesting to see how that form stacks up. We haven't had a good look at it yet, I suppose. The likes of Gallum or so on, Lossiemouth, that's the form I'm referring to. So she could make her debut there. But it's a decent race. Harmonia Maker's in there, Hot Harrier, Heya. So I suggest to people there, that's the 145 Grade 2 Mares Novice Chase at Cork on Sunday. It's well worth a watch.
One definitely catches the eye for me on Friday at Sandown. I think Sandown's card on Friday is quite decent as well. I'm going to the handicap chase at 3 o'clock, and I'm going to side with the John O'Neill trained collector's item. Now it's come in from 15-2 into 13-2 with our sponsors, Boylesports. Has the cheap pieces on for the first time. Dropped £2 as well. So it's running off 130. Basically, it's running off top weight and just about gets into a race like this with the cheek pieces on for the first time. I think it's very, very interesting. Has had 2 starts over fences. And I thought shaped quite well, in fairness, on probably ground that was plenty quick for him. Good to soft ground last time at Exeter. It's going to love the testing conditions. And I think that form reads quite well. It was 5th of 12 behind Make Me a Believer. I thought it ran well. And over this type of trip, it's a half-brother to Royal Kahala, this collector's item, lightly raced individual. I think there's a good handicap chase, and I quite like his chances at 13-2 at 3 o'clock over the 3 miles. Class 3 handicap chase at Sandown on Friday. And I have to say, Roland, I thought Chantry House, I know we tipped them on the podcast last time at Cheltenham, but I thought he was an eye catcher. Now, I didn't think Nico was too hard on Chantry House, and he obviously runs into Potemps qualifier, and like that, Rice, I suppose, look, it's obviously going to carry top weight. It's all about the top weights for me this weekend, because we'll come on to our naps in a moment, and that's also a top weight. But Chantry House, course and distance winner, not going to have an issue on the ground. 2 miles, 7.5 furlongs. Doesn't look the strongest race. 8 runners, small field. I thought Chantry House, top of the market, 5-2. I thought was reasonable. 11-4. I think you can get with Boylesports at the moment as we're recording. Course and distance winner. I thought definitely next time we'll go very, very close off this type of rating. So top weight in that 12:40, third race on the card at Sandown on Saturday. We'll come back, Ronan Groome, for our naps.
Gowran Park Racecourse, the premier racetrack in the southeast of Ireland, is located on the outskirts of Kilkenny City. Gowran is your number one choice for corporate days out, stag and hen party events and an overall great local racing experience. Known as the race that stops the county, the famous Goffs Thyestes Chase 2024 takes place on Thursday the 25th of January.
In the finish of the Goffs Thyestes, invitation only, and Ruby Walsh on the near side for Willie Mullins' 7th win of the race. Invitation only has beaten Alpha's Opus.
With packed crowds expected once again this January, you can book your early bird tickets online today. Visit GowranPark.ie online, click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description, or scan the QR code on screen to purchase right now. Eddie and the team look forward to welcoming you all to Gowran Park Racecourse this winter.
McGree had justified favouritism, but sharp up deck out in front and ready for John McConnell and Alex Harvey.
Western victory, silver long, never be the finishing order.
Yes, and Christmas, of course, is coming. If you want to get involved in racehorse ownership, that will, I suppose, for very affordable prices, get you to the big days. Well, Syndicates.racing do have the, of course, ideal track record, the likes of Grand G, of course, so we Cabaret Queen as well, and plenty of other famous other runners in those famous silks. €50 off your first share today with Syndicates.racing. And all you have to do, of course, is select your horse on the Syndicates.racing website and type in the, of course, the Champ.ie discount code Champ, all caps, and click that apply button to, of course, avail of that kind offer from Jack Cantillon and the guys at Syndicates.racing. €50 off your first share today. 25% off as well. Those Thyestes tickets, 25th of January, of course, 25% off if you book your tickets. Your early bird tickets today, and so all you have to do is scan the QR code on screens. We cannot wait to be down there. Naps time. What have you gone with this weekend?
It's the big breakaway for me, Basil, in the becherchase. Just think he could be well handicapped, nice weight, soft ground, 3 miles. If he takes the fences, I think he'll take a lot of beating. So going to go with him in the Becher at Aintree.
Chepstow, would you believe it? That's where I'm heading, Ronan Groome. Soft ground, not fingers crossed for the weather and all that, but Chepstow on Saturday at 1:02, and we've a 12-runner contest, and Cruise Control, I'd imagine, will be up there towards the front end of the betting. Tom Lacey's charge, bidding to make it back-to-back wins over fences. Cruise Control, I think, look, he went off favourite last time. He won by a length and a half off 120. He was raised £5 for that. He's just £5 higher over fences than his hurdles mark. I followed this horse last year, even in bumpers, and he was second in a Chepstow bumper, so he has decent course form. And I just think he could be well treated off 125. I think Tom Lacey has always held this one in high enough regard, and I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if this horse racked up a bit of a sequence in handicap chases. He's only a 6-year-old, and Tom Lacey has given him plenty of time. It's just going to be his 4th career start. He loved the ground conditions, and at Chepstow, stepping 2 miles and 3.5 furlongs, I think it's absolutely ideal for him. It's a 0 to 125 rated contest, and he's rated bang on 125. So top weights all around. We're sticking with the top weights this weekend, even though it is going to be bottomless ground probably all around the place. I just think Cruise Control, what he won at Newcastle last time, I said that'll win again, and I think £5 lenient enough, I would have said, Ronan Groome, by the British handicapper. So Cruise Control 102 at Chepstow. That's what we're siding with. Any other business looking forward to? What's going to be a cracking weekend's racing? What are you most looking forward to this weekend?
I like you. I like the Henry VIII. As we said, I think that's going to be a nice race. Obviously, you want to see Constitution Hill do something, and Jonbon, and obviously we didn't really mention El Fabiolo on Sunday. He's due to make his seasonal debut in the Hilly Way, continue Willie's excellent record in the race. He's won it like 44 times in a row or something. So interesting to see how he jumps. First, he does sometimes have a mistake in him, which wouldn't implore you with confidence sometimes when you have a 2 mile chaser, because they're making all the difference. But On the flip side of that, he might have had those ironed out of him, and if he does, then he'll be even smarter prospect this season. So looking forward to seeing how he gets on.
Absolutely. Make sure to get your 5 cast selections down below to be able to chance of getting into that draw, of course, on the 28th of December. Big congrats to Far Couple from last week. And put your 5 cast down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Always helps us out. And thanks very much once again to our proud sponsors, Gowran Park Racing, of course, the premier racecourse in the southeast of Ireland, and Syndicates Racing and Boylesports, our betting partner. Best of luck to Harry Fry, our special guest this weekend, and we look forward to seeing you next week.